This is the user guide for version 3.1 of CheckIron, and this version is made in summer 2024. Data can be loaded from Ancestry, 23andMe, MyHeritage, or Family Tree DNA, but many more as well. If you have a choice, we do recommend Ancestry because it does support most of the important genes and mutations. 23andMe is adequate. It's not quite as good for hemochromatosis, and the others are in between 23andMe and Ancestry. We have no affiliation to Ancestry. Now I'm going to show you how you would get your data from Ancestry. So go to ancestry.com and you should select the cheapest one. They post you a kit and you spit into a tube and you post it back to them. It takes about 6 weeks to process, and then go back to the website and choose account settings and then DNA, then scroll down to the bottom and you'll see download your DNA. You agree to the conditions and then click continue, and then choose to send an email to verify your email address. Then you go to your email and get the code and type it in. Now confirm your download and it will say check your inbox. You have to go back to your email, you get an email, and then you click download. And it finally appears on your computer as a zip file, which you shouldn't expand. Now go to CheckIron.com and click check now, and it will take you to a point where you can upload the file, the zip file that you just got. You agree to the conditions and it starts downloading. Now the actual download of the file is quite quick on a good internet connection, but then the processing of that file can take 4.5 minutes or so, but it will count you down. Now obviously we're not going to wait 4.5 minutes. We'll skip forward. Now sometimes the machine can be processing other people's data, so it can take longer than 4.5 minutes, in which case it will show you the next screen briefly before it finishes completing. This screen shows you that you still have to wait, and then it will process your data. And here is my data coming up. Now the point about this screen is it shows you the estimate of when it thinks you might start getting symptoms. And it also asks you to put in the actual age you were when you got symptoms. In this case, I was 60. The next screen shows you the overall risk score of 25. And if we zoom in a bit, we can see quite a lot of the detail. So first of all, it does say this person is 22% worse than the average person. It then mentions overall coverage to be 73% for Ancestry DNA. So it knows the used Ancestry DNA, and 73 is quite good. And it will be the same for all people using Ancestry recently. Then it says hemochromatosis type 1 coverage is 100%. This means we support, or Ancestry support, all 3 of the HFE mutations. Now, if you've used 23andMe before 2023, you would have seen 66% there, because one of the mutations is not supported or was not supported until last year. Now, looking below that, we've found 16 genetic issues, and the most significant is type 1. And later we'll look at type 1 and see what condition this person has. And lesser issues from inflammation, MTHFR, hyperthyroidism, etc., etc. Well, now all these are in order of importance, so the earlier things are the worst things. Now it's important to realize why we list all these other diseases when the purpose of CheckIron is to look at hemochromatosis. And it's simply because all these diseases are related to hemochromatosis, and all these metabolic diseases actually increase the rate of loading of iron. So you must look at all of them. And in fact, many of them, for example, diabetes or lactose intolerance or gluten intolerance, can actually be improved by purely changing your diet. So it's worth considering making those improvements to see if it actually improves hemochromatosis itself. Now, a lot of people seem to ignore these other diseases, but they're actually just as important as hemochromatosis results themselves. So all the results are important. And when discussing them on, say, the CheckIron Facebook group, then you should do screenshots of perhaps not only this page, but the table underneath it. It can be quite a long table, but we'll just at the moment just look at the top. So in this case, we have hemochromatosis type 1 as 120% worse than average. This is because this person's got two C282Y mutations. His next worst in terms of score is inflammation, and but this is actually 11% better than average. And that's why it's better to look at the percent more worse or better, which corresponds to the colours on the right-hand side. So a red is more than 100% worse, and a green corresponds to better, and all the other colours in between of the rainbow are in between in terms of better or worse. Now, the other thing to mention is at the bottom of the table, there's a grey bar with some words in it, which no one seems to read, but basically it says that under that grey bar are items that are irrelevant, basically. They're items we've looked for but didn't find in the data. Now, that was the overview, but we can also jump into the detail for each item. And looking at HH type 1, here we actually can see the detail, which this person is homozygous C282Y, and also has a BMP2, which speeds up loading, and a TF, which also speeds up loading. Then this person's next problem was inflammation, and then MTHFR, and so on. Now, one of the things we can do is go to the Info tab at the top and then to Samples, and we can see different samples representing people who load at different speeds. Now, if we click on the first one, homozygous with fast loading, we get this person who we expect to suffer hemochromatosis at the age of 32. And come up as a medium speed loader. So this person also has 182% worse for hemochromatosis and is 112% worse for Alzheimer's. So we'll finish the user guide here. If you have questions, please join the Facebook group called CheckIron and ask your questions. You can include screenshots from your results. Meanwhile, please like and subscribe this video so you get notifications of future videos. Thank you. Bye.